maybe my favorite thing of 2024 is MSN, as in MSNBC, chose me from Instagram as one of the 10 top influencers and disruptors of 2024. Well, hi, everybody. This is Diane Gilman, formerly known as the Queen of Jeans on QVC-HSN, Tele-Retail, but now the proud host of Too Young to Be Old, which is also the title of my second book, and Fashion Thursdays with Diane. And today is end of the year. It's the New Year's review. Every single year towards New Year's, I look back on the year. I wonder if you do too. It is really fascinating to put it down on paper and just go, whoa. So I hate to say it, but when we're done with a little bit of a description on what 2024 was for us, there'll be a quiz. And I'm not kidding. There actually will be a quiz, but it's going to be an easy one. So let me just give you a just teeny bit of background. For those of you who don't know me, I was in fashion for almost 60 years, introduced washable silk to America, and created the first true middle age jean for women with not so perfect bodies who wanted to look good and feel young again. I did that on television, QVC internationally, HSN nationally, for close to 30 years. I was the number one fashion personality globally for tele-retail. In 2022, right around this time, close to New Year's Eve, I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't. My soul is dying. Yeah, it looks comfortable. Yeah, you could probably be there forever, but I couldn't. I knew me well enough to know I needed to get out. I know that sounds flippant, but trust me, it was really a profound feeling. It had to do with just getting over breast cancer and realizing I was getting a second chance and how profoundly precious life was. So I just told the powers to be that I would be out by New Year's Eve. And New Year's Eve of 2022, I just walked off into the unknown. Retirement? No, not for me. More like realignment. And I was knocking around the house and kind of doing nothing and feeling, oh my God, I made the worst mistake in my life when I got an email. Hi, I'm very aware of you. I know you've walked away from tele-retail. I have a podcast for people over 50. I'd love you to be my co-host. Woo! Okay. Well, maybe I could do that. It's all about talking, and that's what I did on TV. So 2022 was pretty much a year of re-establishing myself, of finding out what worked for me and what didn't. Was it scary? Yeah, it was like super scary. And I did a co-hosted podcast for about 6 or 8 months. And then I thought, you know what? Everyone is telling me, try it on your own. I've never been alone in front of a camera. You always have hosts on tele-retail. But I went for it. So in 2023, we not only started Too Young to Be Old, my podcast, major podcast, but then we also added Fashion Thursdays with Diane. So 2023 was a year of establishment. And I have to tell you, the people that are involved with me, most of them had never done anything solely for social media, except participate on their own personally. Me, I'd really never done anything but shop on the internet, very good at shopping. Um, but here we were and learning new things and garnering an audience. And then comes 2024. This has been the most amazing year. So let me give you a few stats. Instagram. We walked into 2024 with 2,000 followers. We end the year with 75,000. YouTube, my own channel. We started out the year with 4,000. We end the year with 10,000 subscribers. We had a viral podcast all about the death of luxury. It shot up to 45,000 hits. Wow. Viral YouTube video. That was me doing my makeup as a woman well over 50. 22,000 hits. Viral posts. 2.8 million hits with Jeff Garner, all about, honestly, spandex as poison. And then again, 1.4 million hits for what you would say to your younger self and don't calendar your life. It goes on from there. I wrote my third book. I was part of an international women's anthology. And I wrote about breast cancer. It was all about every woman challenged at some point in her life and how do you come through it. That was a very satisfying experience for me. And now, believe it or not, I am so involved in, pardon me, John Lennon, you are what you eat, that we are starting a fourth book, Modern Aging. And this is about self love and self care and nourishing and flourishing within your body and your soul from what you eat. I'm very excited about that. Super excited. But in 2024, I was also a cover girl on the cover of two different magazines and had the centerfold full articles. I also appeared in 25 other magazines with interviews about how I converted my life from tele-retail to social media. Being a cover girl was just unbelievable. That was like such a huge dream for me and so illogical that it would happen at that age. Well, I also got contacted by a screenwriter, and together we're writing a TV pilot for episodic chapters of my book. Um, and it's going to be all about my life, which has been really crazy and very much, if you dare to dream, dream big. And that will be finished by the end of this year. And fun to write. Oh my God, super fun to write, and difficult also because drama, drama, drama. Then one of the very best things, maybe my favorite thing of 2024, is MSN, as in MSNBC, chose me from Instagram as one of the 10 top influencers and disruptors of 2024. Now, you got to know, for someone in their late 70s to be chosen as a disruptor is hilarious. It's sort of like, you still got it, you old firecracker. And the fact that I was the only silver haired influencer disruptor in that package of 10. That was amazing for me. Um, I also have to say I made 11 guest appearances on television, mostly morning shows. That was pretty great. Then my book, Too Young to Be Old, won the Firebird Award for women's issues and aging. That's kind of a big deal. And now we are finding the Fashion Thursdays is even outpacing Too Young to Be Old. And I think a lot of you knew me from fashion, and so it's super gratifying for me. So, for those of you that don't know me, and maybe my hair is just dyed white, who knows? I ask you, here is the quiz. You have heard everything we've accomplished this year. 2 books being written, screenplay being written. There we go, and we're celebrating 104 podcasts, 25 guest appearance podcasts, 11 TV interviews, a TV pilot autobiographically written. All of that, and ask yourself, if you had to vote, would you say that was the life of a 40-year-old, a 60-year-old, or an 80-year-old? Well, I'm going to take a very safe bet and say that the majority of you would say a 40-year-old. Most women my age don't dare to dream because nobody gives them permission. But I say reframe your brain, because we are now getting statistics that tell us that we are going to have a very good chance of living to be 100. What are you going to do with that time? You're going to retire at 50, 55, and what? Do nothing for half a century? I hope you have the money. I really do, because living is expensive. I should know, living in Manhattan. But I realized a lot of things from walking away from everything in my career and actually in my life that was familiar to me. Television, so familiar to me. Tele-retail, so familiar to me. I think you can say it was the best of times and it was the worst of times when I contracted breast cancer, which was diagnosed Christmas Eve of 2017, went through treatment 2018. Why was it the best of times? It allowed me to step back and really think about my life. So first thing I would say is, and I say this to anybody, if you come up with a major challenge in life, let's say a health challenge that's as scary as cancer, use the time wisely. Look within your soul. Make it a time that's spiritual. And that's why I say reframe your brain. Because when I look back on cancer, I have no bitter feelings at all. I feel it really allowed me to take a deep breath, like almost do a landscape shot, a full 360-degree landscape shot, and reframe my picture of what my life was going to be. And when I came back to television, I realized that chemotherapy had done a real number on my body, and I wasn't even sure that I could support that kind of lifestyle with crazy hours and always in an airplane. I had to reassess everything. If I couldn't be in fashion anymore, what was I talented at? Could I do anything? I knew for sure one thing, and the 4.5 weeks that I was retired for, really, that was just clarity personified. I cannot do nothing. I have to have purpose and passion. And that passion to be excellent and to deliver a really important message, that hasn't dimmed over the years. As a matter of fact, it's actually taken on strength. I think that my one big stumbling block, but I figured it out in 2024. I work with a lot of younger women. I try to keep almost a completely exclusive all female crew. I want to give women a chance. So most of the women I work with are in their 30s or very early 40s. And somebody said to me recently, "Oh, Diane, just be patient. It'll happen." It was something about viewer totals or something. And I said, "You got to understand something. You're 40. You just turned 40. If you're going to live to be 100, you've got 60 years to reshape or build upon the life you're living right now, the talents you were born with and or accrued along the way. I, at almost 80, have maximum 20 years. And it's a different point of view. So when we started the podcast, I had a pretty fair idea. From the audience I had had on Teleretail, they want to be happy, but nobody tells you how in this society. Nobody rewards you for getting older. Everyone tells you to kind of disappear, or you're not sexy anymore, you're not interesting anymore. Certainly, my fashion community is not fascinated with dressing older women, but guess what? We are the majority of America, and it's going to only build over 50 and living to be 100. So I see a future where we're going to get more recognition, more respect, but we're not there yet. And I'm hopefully one of the pioneers leading the way. So, what a privilege it is to be almost 80 and be developing a new voice, a bigger voice, a voice that really encapsulates what's wrong with ageism and how we can deal with it and change it. I have to say also that you are the architect of this particular portion of your life because old age, and I hate to use those words, but let's just say advanced years, nobody gives you any guidelines. No one tells you it can be wonderful or you can be so happy. I am so grateful every day. Oh my God. In 2024, when you go through all the accomplishments and the building we've done and the adventures we've had along the way doing it and the thrills and the feeling like, oh, yeah, I really get it now. It's so satisfying. And no one ever told me any of this was even remotely possible as I aged. Everybody, as a matter of fact, discouraged me. And, here's the other deal. Everybody that gives you all this advice about where you are, oh, you shouldn't be working, you should be cruising. Oh, you shouldn't be working, you should be relaxing. How do you know? Most of the people that give you that advice are half your age and they're looking from the outside in. But I'm here to tell you that, and I dislike using the words like manifest or gratitude because they're thrown around too much these days. Somebody just said to me, oh, I'm getting so good at manifesting. I manifested money. I need money. And I found a penny, a dusty penny underneath some pebbles in the park. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't call that manifesting. Just think about what you want, but sometimes almost impossible because you don't really know. And as I got into this age and I realized there were so few of me that were saying, ageism? Hell no. Nobody is going to wrangle me into that because that is like being put in a box and having the lid sealed. I don't want to be boxed in. I don't want to be prejudged. I don't want people to assume that my brain function is declining or I'm less than. And I also don't want to go for all these platitudes. Like I see these commercials like, oh, I'm just getting better with age. Oh, bleh, come on. I mean, I will never in all the years that I wind up doing these podcasts, ever lie to you like that, ever give you a platitude like that. Getting better? I got to say, this is a very challenging time of your life. And the real trick is you've accrued all this knowledge and you can back that up with experience. But two things for sure. You better act like you know it because you're going to get challenged at every level and you cannot give up participation in modern life. And what does that mean? That means that I am the most technophobic human being on earth. I can barely use an electric can opener, but I've got to keep up with how people are communicating. And I have to say that is probably one of the biggest challenges. And whenever I hang out with friends that are my own age, you would just be shocked. Some of them refuse to learn how to email. Yeah, I'm not kidding. But I had to know all about it, all about Instagram and TikTok. And I had to take the equivalent of college courses that would take a year in get them under my skin and know what I was doing in a month. And you know what? I love it. I love the fast pace of social media. I love the communication skills I'm able to use from television. 2024 has been literally a banner year for me. And I do want to say that with all the appearances we've made and the magazine covers and the articles, and I'm just about to get into two more articles where you get to sort of write a lot of it yourself, certainly do the background, and realize how much I enjoy my writing skills, which I never even knew I had, but will use for my fourth book, my fantastic one pot meal, super healthy, super delicious cookbook. I'm having a blast. And I don't know if you're younger and you're watching this podcast and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I dread old age. I do want to say Keith Richards had the best analysis of aging. He said, life's a funny thing. No one wants to grow old, but no one wants to die young. And that is literally the point. You've got choices here, but this is period of your life. 2024 for me, turned 79, easier to say, almost 80. And I am the boss of me. What direction do I want to go in? What do I want to do with my time? I am so grateful for having a second chance at life after cancer. I am so grateful that I had the wherewithal and maybe the vision to say, life is too precious to stay in a safe spot. Get out there, Diane, and have an adventure with the rest of your life. Do something that makes your heart beat really fast. Do something that gives you exhilaration, an incredible sense of accomplishment and pride. And I love the idea of building a sisterhood, a community of women. You know, I said in a past podcast recently, I'm coming back as a man in my next lifetime. Being a woman is not easy, but if you're a younger woman and you're beautiful and you're attractive and you're uh, magnetic, it's fabulous. Being an older girl like me, you have to totally realign your thinking. You cannot go. I have girlfriends that are close to my age, and when they talk about meeting a man or dating a man, they sound like a 16-year-old. It's not going to happen that way. This is his very own particular time of life, and you are in charge of making it fabulous or not. And yes, it can be fabulous. Something I always loved, and for those of you who are close to my age, my very favorite, one of my very favorite movies was Judy Garland and James Mason in A Star is Born. I think it was done in 1954. Still stands up today. It's a beautiful movie, and my favorite part of that movie is she sings in the little cafe, The Man That Got Away. Incredible performance. James Mason is watching. And afterwards he says, "What is your dream?" And she said, "My dream is one day a record agent will walk into the cafe, hear me sing, and put the song on the radio, and it'll be number one." And he said, "Well, that's okay. That's a good dream. But here's your problem. You're not dreaming big enough. Dream big. What have you got to lose?" That is what 2024 encapsulates for me. You know, I went through years of being on television, and the TV exposure is incredible. And I learned so much about communicating with the public. I could never want to give that up. But 2024 was bound to be a banner year for me, one way or the other. Either I was going to break through on social media, or I was going to say, you know what? No one wants to listen to an 80-year-old lady. It's not for me. But you out there, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You have embraced me. You have acted upon advice I've given. I mean, I cannot even quantify how much that means to me and how important it is. And if there is anything you want to see or hear from me in terms of my journey right now on social media, guiding younger women to live their very best life as they get older into their 50s and 60s and beyond, like me in my late 70s, um, please, please let me know, because the real truth is I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't have been chosen by MSNBC as one of the top 10 influencers and disruptors of 2024. And quite frankly, when I looked back, I thought, you know, Diane, it's not so much of a surprise because I've been a disruptor all my life. When I was a really little girl, I wanted to be a career woman, and all I ever heard was, "No, you're going to get married and have children." And even at like 4 years old, I thought, no, I'm not. So I was always disrupting. Why should I stop now? Just because people tell me it's not my place? As somebody close to 80, it's not only my place, I should own the territory. So I want to thank you. I want to say, let's get more interactive. Tell me things you want to hear about. Right now, I'm all into dietitians and doctors and anti-aging treatments, and there is so much fascinating scientific interpretations on the cusp of giant discovery of how we're going to live to be 100 successfully, joyfully, healthily. It's not only about lifespan, it's about age span. And I hope I've covered a lot of that in 2024. But as we get more well known and more followed, the guests get more elevated and be authoritative about their subject matters. Look, if you had a room full of 1,000 women, and I said, how many of you want to grow old and be irrelevant and silent? You probably wouldn't have one person raise their hand. If I turned around and said, how many of you want to grow old and remain beautiful and remain active and remain relevant and respected and joyful and grateful and can't wait to wake up every morning and have a new adventure? Probably everybody would raise their hands. So let's raise our hands together. Let's give some applause for 2024. It hasn't all been great. It hasn't all gone the way I wanted it to. But guess what? That's life. And now I've got 2025 to make up for that and build on more. Cheers, ladies. It's all in attitude. And your attitude has to be, I'm going to make my life great and let's go. So with that said, thank you, 2024. It's been a hell of a year, but 2025 is going to be banner. Cheers, ladies. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.